sorry, we can't see you.
That's okay.
Yeah, I bet. Hello, everybody. It is. Ooh, it is an itching nose. It is. It is right. Thursday. Yes, Thursday. When you work from home and you don't go anywhere. I mean, literally, you just go to the gym, you go to the store, you come back home, and you're always home. Trust me, I thought it was silly. You actually do lose track of days.
Yeah.
Lose track of days. Thursday, and this is United, Not Divided, where we meet on common ground, the NGSC Sports Political Podcast. I'm your host, Ralph Garcia, joined alongside. Anyway, joined by the usual suspects, the lady of the house in Florida. Not that she jumps with joy that she's there all the time, but that's home. Hi, Lori.
Hey, Ralph. Happy May Day. Happy Labor Day. Hey, Glenn.
Labor Day.
Yeah. Labor Day to the rest of the world.
Well, okay. That kind of Labor Day. That's a good one, Lori. By the way, I always forget to do this. And of course, I can't do it without the man of the house. If you guys thought I was a man of the house. Woo, thank God you don't know me. Coach, what's up, Coach?
Not a lot.
Hey, that's a lie. Woo, holy shit. Hey, we never told you guys we're not going to, remember. We're kind of like the media. Media lies sometimes. Coach just lied. Yeah. There's a lot going on. Remember the website, of course, ndscsports.com. I'm going to the website at the same time I'm trying to make this show public so I can share it out to all the rest of you who think you weren't going to see it. Log on to the website right now. Oh, good news. ndscsports.com. We have 5 new writers coming aboard. 3 are college interns. Really appreciate them. We have one coming, guys. Tessa Hinkleman. Who the fuck is Tessa Hinkleman, right? Like, who cares who Tessa Hinkleman is? No, seriously, let me tell you who Tessa is. Tessa's a political science major, so I asked her, so Tessa, what are you? Sports network. So what are you going to write about? Even though, of course, knowing that we got a political show on the network. She says, I was thinking of taking the topics, the issues at hand, the transgender issue on its own, the transgender issue in sports, how that affects sports, how it's affecting the world, the athletes, the families, the business, the guys. Like, holy crap, you're hired. That's it. She didn't have to say anything else. So like, wow. And, her first article would be about the New York Yankees. And she said something about immigration. Forget it. Anyway, welcome aboard to the people. Website, ndscsport.com. If you log on right now, I'm going to get to it so we can get to it. I got a little busy. Sometimes I write. I'm a little busy. So I decided to go. I started thinking about horses. I saw a picture, a post, that the lineup for the Kentucky Derby, every single horse is a descendant of Secretariat.
Wow.
Coach, did you feel that, Coach?
I'll tell you, I've watched Secretariat and amazing horse. And
when I read it and I saw, of course, there's a picture of Secretariat, right? Hey, I don't know. There's a lot of beautiful horses. I'm sorry, but some think that was the most beautiful horse that ever lived, okay? It definitely was on the racetrack. But every horse that races for the Kentucky Derby is a descendant of Secretariat. That's like royalty all over the fucking track. So I wrote up beginner tips for 2025 Preakness Stakes betting success. What do you think? I was just going to write about the fucking horses? I wanted to add a little tip. So betting. Betting's hot. So I decided to do it for hockey. And I said betting on the 2025 Stanley Cup futures markets explain for new bettors. You think there's not a futures market in betting? You ain't been paying attention to how big that shit has gotten. John gives us America East baseball news and notes. Bryant University is new leader, and last but not least, the professional women's hockey. Lori, you lady of the house.
Yes.
The expansion of women's sports, the finally the recognition, although there are a lot of assholes still out there, there are recognition for women now. We're lucky to be able to cover the Professional Women's Hockey League. As a matter of fact, we just got the news that NGSC Sports is now an official media member of the Professional Women's Hockey League. We will be voting for postseason awards, and that's kind of fun. They have now expanded to Vancouver and Seattle. So anybody thought that the league was going to fold because it's a bunch of women, and you're just like and you're like a chauvinistic asshole that doesn't like women playing sports. They're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. All that and more on ngscsports.com, where we never stop. Last on the intro is about what we're going to talk about. So we got to prep for the show, right? And we have to come up with some kind of agenda. If we made the agenda based on what we had to talk about, so like I would fall asleep because we would do the show for like 5 hours and these two would just continue on and I would be here asleep. So we got to pick the five best things that we can talk about. And before we start, what I was going to say was, as we evolve as human beings, as we grow from childhood to adolescence to adulthood, you get older, you learn a lot. Environment changes, rules change, discoveries are made, and politicians make the rules. It's kind of been standard my whole life until 2015, let's say. Hell, I'm just going to say 14 to be safe. It was just standard operating procedures. Election time, you vote. I don't like this motherfucker. I don't like this one, or whatever. It just standard shit. Same shit, different day. Somebody won. We got a new president. I don't like the fucking president. I don't like that president. Fucking Democrat. Fucking Republican. And then came 2015, and 16, and 17, and 18. And it looks like the rest of our fucking life, right? Everything is not in order. Everything is not the same. Everything is not standard operating procedure like it used to be. I am a firm believer, and I hope that everybody else is a firm believer, that having police. Do I got to go into a fucking spiel? If there's no police, if there's no law and order, shit, ain't going to be much left, right? But remember that power must be checked, because unchecked power is unlimited power. And unlimited power, well, everybody else gets screwed. President Trump signed an executive order empowering the police nationwide. Now, Coach, when you read that or you say that on the surface, sounds good. Sounds good. Of course, when I tell you something like, yo, Coach, it's raining outside, I didn't tell you how hard it's raining, right? So when I tell you this, Coach, it sounds good. But, Coach, there's a little bit more to it, isn't it?
You know, there always is, right, when it comes to the agendas. So the way they constructed the executive order, it kind of reads it like they're empowering the police to crack down on crime in cities. And if the cities themselves aren't willing to go along with the crackdown, then they can crack down on the city officials as well. You know, the problem with what they're doing is, you know, just like, and obviously the comparison is Nazi Germany, right? So in Nazi Germany, when Hitler was rising to power, everything seemed to be socially accepted agendas. Like it was something that was for the public good. and people got behind it because of the way the propaganda was and the way that they were led to believe what it meant, what they were saying it meant. And this is the way we are right now in America, is that we're going to listen to the rhetoric from the White House and from the advisors and stuff about what is this really meaning and what does it say. But when you compare it to the evolution in Nazi Germany of the police state that went on there, you're finding that it's really the same breakdown as far as empowering the police to do what they want, providing protection for the police for what they do as seen as breaking civil rights, those kinds of things, violating people's rights and stuff. They're going to have a blanket protection. They're going to be encouraged, basically, which is what the executive order is about, is encouraging police to crack down, to make arrests, to do whatever it takes. They want to go back to no-knock warrants. They want to, basically things that otherwise involve the courts to allow things to go forward when it comes to police investigation, police, warrants and things like that. The courts are highly involved in things like that. They're trying to eliminate the courts from that and just say, go and do it. And if there's a lawsuit, we'll back you. We'll protect you with the lawsuits. That's one of the things that went on. You might have seen in the news where Trump made these deals with the law firms that he was going after, and now they've provided the like a $40 million pro bono package to Donald Trump to work out the deals with him. This is where that pro bono money is going to be used for. It's going to be used to protect police to go ahead and crack down. Now, the one thing, I did an AI search on it, and the one thing that AI came up with as the distinction between Nazi Germany's approach to police forcing and now this new executive order is the simple fact that we're not exterminating people. There's not death camps. There's not extermination. There's not, killings of citizens and stuff like that. But all the policies are very similar to one another. And you have to kind of read that for what it is. This is exactly what it is. It's a power grab. Trump always said he wanted to spearhead the executive office, that he would basically be the top of all of the executive branch, which theoretically he is anyways as the president of the United States. But many departments had functioned independently of the executive branch or of the White House, we'll say. They functioned independently of the White House, and the White House was happy to do that. DOJ, for example, most presidents didn't involve themselves in the Department of Justice and the pursuits that they went on, and that was kind of like you just kind of let them roll and do their thing, and the White House stayed out of it. That's not the case anymore. Okay, everything stems from the White House, and it's a run downhill scenario. So right now, whether it's what's that, Ralph?
No, go.
Oh, I thought you were making a comment. So
no, I'm going to read it. I'm going to read the order in a second.
All right. So what you have right now is you have the beginnings of a police state. Okay, this is also going to involve they're not bringing the military. Like, this is one of the questions was about martial law, right? Is this martial law? Is this the beginnings of martial law? Not exactly, but potentially it's a bastardized version of martial law in that they're not only empowering the police to do whatever the hell they want, they are also going to provide them with any resource that the police wants, including military style weaponry and things like that. And the question came about with, I think it was Lori that brought it up about, is this the beginnings of, cracking down on protests and squashing the protests, and then of course into the free speech and the freedom of the press and stuff like that. I think those are legitimate concerns based on what it is, that what it says is one thing, but what it means is an entirely different thing.
Listen, and Lori, before I bring it to you, first things first, Coach, in response to what you said, if you're going to have a police state in the street, right? Even if you have nefarious reasons, right? You're not going to make them public. So the perception or the reason or what you want to put out there is and I'm going to read what they say in a second. But come on, what is happening out there? What bothers Donald Trump so much? Bad coverage, bad press, people talking bad about him, protest about him. Now, Lori, the executive order, this is from Fox 59. I wanted to be bipartisan. I wanted to make sure that we meet on common ground. An executive order signed by President Trump will, he says, excuse me, bring more law and order to America's streets, while critics fear it could hold police less accountable. The order is titled, it's a long ass title, Strengthening and Unleashing America's Law Enforcement to Pursue Criminals and Protect Innocent Citizens. It's funny because innocent citizens have already been deported, but let's stay on topic over here, though. It provides for more protection of police officers while limiting oversight of local agencies. And the order reads, the result will be a law-abiding society in which tenacious law enforcement officers protect the innocent. Violations of the law are not tolerated, and American communities are safely enjoyed by all their citizens again. Now, again, when you read the words, Lori, it sounds good. But I mean, if I'm fixing a burger, right? If you're right next to me, Lori, and I have a hamburger patty and it's cooked, I have a piece of cheese, I have a bun, you're assuming I'm cooking a cheeseburger. And when I look at you, I'm going to have a cheeseburger. And when I look at you and say, no, I'm not, you're thinking, we know what this is about, Lori.
Oh, yeah, we definitely do. And I can tell you from experience in the state of Florida, for one, anybody who wants to protest, which is, well, of course, I have gone to a protest rally in the state of Florida. If you step out into the street and somebody runs you over, you've got protection. You got protection because you're protesting. And to me, what I'm afraid of it's going to lead to is the fact that, we're all going to get identified and we're going to become enemies of the state. And the police, they can arrest us at will. That's how I see it.
Look, anywhere any uprising happens that is a protest to Trump, he knows. He makes sure he has eyes on all that shit. Now, again, pretty fucking petty because, come on, man. You're the president of the United States. You know how they say you have a bunch of jobs. There's so many jobs, top titles, that carry so much responsibility, so much weight. And a lot of them kind of fucking suck and we can mention, but you're the president. I mean, you really got that job where you're going to get criticized and talk shit about. Thick skin. That doesn't work for him. And I watch a couple of videos, just people talking about the possibilities of what this means. Somebody brought up a good point. So we can talk about the executive order and what it does to the people, how it affects the people, what it means. How about what it means for the police officers? How about looking at it from the police officer side?
Total immunity.
Hey, the police officer, Heather. Hey, Heather. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Hi, Heather. We love you. Think about how the police feel, what they've had to go through, and some of it wrong, but some of it deserved. They have felt the pressure of the community stranglehold around them in recent years, seeing that what they've been able to do, they can't do anymore. Talking about the bad cops, right? Now those cops, coach, are like,
you know what? Wouldn't that have been great to happen on January 6th? Because I think those police, whoa, what might they have done? What might they have done? They might have gotten that crowd under control a lot sooner.
Well, and it's something that you say that because if you remember history, and that wasn't that long ago, 3 hours and 14, 18 minutes later, whatever it was, Trump comes out on camera and says, like, basically, stop. I love you, you fucking patriots, man. Fuck you are. But go home. And they went home. Meaning he only had to say that shit 3 hours and 16 minutes earlier, and they would have gone home. But anyway, that's where we are. We're going to see where this takes us, because that's what's important right now. Because think about it. Police stations, police commissioners, police nationwide are already making changes within. We got the green light, boys, and I'm not talking about the good guys, okay? We got the green light, boys, and we got protection with the green light.
You know, the thing to keep in perspective too, right, is that this doesn't necessarily affect, you know, a town in Montana or somewhere in Ohio. It's the cities, okay? It's the cities that have the high crime rates.
What kind of cities? What kind of cities?
Right. Highly populated democratic cities. Okay. And so this is really the true intent, is the crackdown is meant to crack down on democratic cities, whether they're because they're sanctuary style cities where they provide, you know, some kind of safe haven for illegals, or they're high crime situations, whatever. This is the thing that drives me nuts with the whole fucking, you know, oh, it's the democratic cities. And first of all, a city is exactly that. It's an area that is a condensed, congested area that has a high volume of people and a lot of industries. If you're talking about, you know, high-rise buildings that service thousands of people's jobs for an insurance company, that's going to be in a city. When you have a city, you're going to have a lot of people. Now, again, most cities are democratic cities, simply because most people are Democrats. It's really that simple.
And there it is. You hit the nail on the head. And I thought I was kind of leading Lori to hopefully say it, but you just said it right there. This is not going to affect red states that much because the target is not red states.
But I have something to add to that.
Oh no, you don't. You don't know. You don't know anything. Remember?
Yeah.
Well, there was a planned demonstration when Dr. Fauci was giving a speech at Van Weasel Hall in Sarasota. Now, Sarasota, unfortunately, is also where Michael Flynn lives, and there's a lot of Proud Boys there. So we were going to go in support of Dr. Fauci, a group of those who actually believe in science, and it was canceled because the same day the Proud Boys had a little picnic planned and everything, that they were going to be there against Dr. Fauci. Now, here's an interesting theory. Okay, so the police get involved. Now, what do you think might have happened to the Proud Boys versus the demonstrators in favor of Fauci?
Right.
Think about that. And it's red as anything. You know, who would have been protected there? Where would the police have stood on that issue?
Well, I think those are rhetorical questions, right, Lori? Because we all understand.
Yeah,
you know, and I think you're exactly right. And I think that's the way to interpret this, is that it's empowering the police to crack down on liberal dissidents. It's not about right-wing wacko fascist. They're not going to be the ones that are being cracked down on. It's going to be liberal dissidents.
Nothing's gonna happen to the Proud Boys. Them boys got.
You know, this is a funny thing, though, right? I'm a grown man. Okay, been a grown man for probably 35 years. Okay, if you called me a boy, I would probably confront you. And these guys are Proud Boys. And they might as well spell them with a fucking Z, right? How fucking pathetic are these guys, right? This is what I hate about fucking clubs and groups and gangs and shit like that. They're all a bunch of tough motherfuckers when they're in a fucking crowd together. But
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
A one-on-one scenario, that's a fucking coward in a pair of boots.
And I learned that a long time ago in college. It's the frat boy mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guys can be as nice as anything as you want when you meet them individually, put them together, give them a little bit of power, give them guns.
They're all douchebags.
All douchebags. Damn it.
I used to have my childhood where I used to get beat up. Then I finally, my dad forced me to grow a pair of balls. Then when I did, I decided to go back and pay back everybody that I could pay back that beat me up. And then after I did that, then I said, I'm just going to look for the assholes. Just assholes. People who are just assholes to people, bullies and shit, and just kick their ass, man. And I love what you said, Coach, because I'm not saying that not that everybody's weak and soft, but for the most part, these motherfuckers, boy, you're in a group, you talk a lot of shit, right? But I promise you, privately, yeah, let's see how much you really run your fucking mouth.
Isn't that not what's happening in the entire GOP right now? Trump has pretty much empowered them all to be bullies.
There, Heather said it. They call themselves alpha males, and they're far from alpha.
Any fucking male that says I'm an alpha male is a beta. Okay? Seriously. Because
you don't have to say it.
You don't have to say it.
You have to say it.
Right. If I say Ralph is an alpha male, then Ralph is an alpha male. If Ralph says he's an alpha male, Ralph is a pussy hiding behind a title of alpha male.
Exactly. It's not something you have to anoint yourself to be.
Right.
You either are an alpha or you're not. Right. And if you are, you not only know that, everybody around you knows that. That's something that's like sticking your middle finger up. If you do that every day, everybody's going to see it. Everybody knows that. The entire GOP are scared of Trump and doing his bidding. And, I'm glad, Heather, because we don't talk about that much. Because think about it. The senators that are here now, sitting in the Senate, that have been around for years and years and years and years. And if you play the tape, if you go back and play the videotape, a lot of them talked a lot of shit about Trump. They didn't like his ass whatsoever. And not only him, but policies. You take Marco Rubio, for example, okay? Yeah. This was a guy who was about, oh boy. And they just flipped. And you're right, Heather. And that's what I tell people. You're a totally submissive and subservient Trump brain dead, because all you're going to do is wake up tomorrow and repeat everything that Fox News and what he said yesterday. Yeah. I was going to share the show on your page, and I remember, Coach, that you might want to hold off on that for a second. Tariffs. Listen, people, again, holy shit. I feel like I know that the sun rises in the morning. I'm looking over there right now at the gigantic window. I wish this window was smaller. But anyway, it's a huge window. There's a sun out there. And from what I was taught, eventually it's going to set and it's going to get dark. I don't know anybody that doesn't know that. Yet, I promise you, Marco is the poster boy for beta. Hey, that's why that's why you have to love Heather. She's really bad, and she's really good at being bad. So if I tell you it's 7:49 a.m., no, it's 2 p.m. and it's dark. It's nighttime. Are you in Alaska?
Right.
Or no, I'm in Tennessee. Well, it is incredible the power that this man has. We learned in school, and we learned a long time ago, tariffs. We pay for tariffs, okay? That it's like one of those questions. What is the first thing you think of when you hear the word tariffs? I gotta pay for them motherfuckers. That's the first thing I think of. That's the first thing you should think of.
But it's not.
But it's not. But it's not. And the Senate just voted to reject the bipartisan effort to undo the fucking tariffs.
Right. And this is part of, the Trump followers, right? So throughout the campaign, and Trump talked about tariffs and all this, to them that sounded like, oh, that's great. We're going to raise a lot of money for America by taking taxes on China, or having taxes on Mexico or Canada or whoever he wants to fucking put tariffs on. And they think that somehow this translates to tax dollars entering the U.S. government, and we're going to
coach.
And so what
you're
happens?
Not buying in? You're not buying into that?
No, because with all these tariffs, we should be able to lower the income tax. Well, so that's going to pay for the income tax drop, and they're just they're so fucking inept. They're so fucking inept. In the beginning of his administration, so many videos came out about people that are just learning what a tariff is and what a tariff does.
Yes, right? Coach.
And they're like, holy shit. Well, guess what? That's always been the case. Everybody, you can look historically over so many different politicians historically, even Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan has a video out there talking about fucking how bad tariffs are for American people, because it just simply translates to increased prices.
It's not new. It's not new.
No.
I'll tell you something that I just saw too. Not only is it going to impact us as consumers, it's going to really impact especially the small time sellers who used to get. There was a provision where anything under $800, that was, I think it was 800 or 8,000, was exempt from tariffs. Well, Trump wants that loophole closed. So what does that do to the small time sellers, whether they're on eBay or, even the store where I'm in, Temu? I can't tell you how many products and people have bought stuff, jewelry, little things like jewelry or small items that are $1 a piece, and you can turn around in a store like I'm at, where there's multiple vendors, and they'll turn around and they'll sell it for $5. They're not going to get any breaks on that stuff anymore.
No.
Nothing. So it's going to impact every single one of us, from business people to consumers.
To consumers. And remember, when we were prepping for the show, we talked about the example that we saw, whether on TV but on the news, about the guy who runs that company who says he had to cancel every order. Can't pay the tariff. Cannot pay the tariff to get his goods to his business to make money. In essence, the man says, as if he was asked the question, and he wasn't, yes, we're going to have to shut down.
And here's something that's going on.
And it's just getting started.
And right now, it's absolutely affecting the auto industry big time. I'm in the process of looking for a vehicle.
Yeah, you said
and that. I did. I know I said that. But it's months waiting because of what happened during COVID. Toyota Lexus is the company which I want to buy from, but back then they learned to just make orders as they came in. So it's revolutionizing how cars are being sold to begin with. And the car inventory is down big time right now. And people are panic buying or trying to get ahead of the tariffs.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah,
it's
buying
insanity.
the cars up.
In one dealership in Georgia, that is Lexus and Toyota, they have right now a 3-day supply of cars for Lexus and a 4-day supply of cars for Toyotas. I'm at a point where I've been to the dealership to check it out myself to see if I can get my car. I can't even test drive one because they don't have them on the lots.
Wow.
So Yeah, it's really it's just really bad in general. So what's happening too is that with used cars, car sales are going up. The prices
Can't hear you,
are
Laurie. Can't hear you.
what's that?
Background.
You
Trump's
can't.
trying to hurt every person. He doesn't care. No, Laurie. Either not everyone. Remember, not everyone. Not the billionaires. Not the corporate leaders. Not the bigwigs. No, Coach. You're exploding. Go.
So we understand that, and we've talked about this so many times, right? With tariffs, okay? Tariffs are beneficial when you have two competing products. You have a U.S. manufactured product made in the USA, and you have a foreign product of the same thing that's being sold at a cheaper price.
Good
And
example.
so by adding a tariff, you're equalizing the price, and in some cases, maybe making that import a little more expensive so that you buy American. Fine. Makes sense. Good business. Donald Trump is under the delusion that by forcing tariffs across the board on everybody, it's going to force manufacturers to stop making their sneakers in China or their John Deere tractors in, Mogadishu, or all these other companies that are basically making their business outside of America. Somehow it's going to force them to come to America and build their. Okay, so it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, right? You're talking about having first of all, you have to basically build a production line. You have to build facilities. You have to build manufacturing plants. You have to do all that. And then you still have to deal with American dollar. Like, you have to pay for the worker. You're not going to be able to pay an American, okay, $1.50 an hour to make Nike sneakers. So you have to factor that that's going to be a $20 to $30 probably hourly wage per person. So even with the tariffs and all this stuff, are they really forcing companies to come back home and make their
No,
product in America?
whoa. Let's go back to the cars too.
And if
Okay.
they did, but hear me out. Even if they forced them to come here,
Right.
the product is still going to be expensive. It's going to be as equal expensive as
if not more. It's going to cost more. It's going to cost more.
But here's what I was going to say about the cars. There is one Nissan, I believe, is going to bring a production of one of the cars from out of the country in, right? It's going to take them. They have the facility, but in order to switch over the parts to be able to make this particular model, it's going to take them 2 years before they can even get to that point. So it's not a matter of an overnight type of thing.
No,
And here's another thing. The raw materials come from outside of this country. You've got plastics. Plastics, for example. Plastics are in just about every damn product we have. Guess where most of the plastics come from? China.
Not here.
No. So that includes all your items in the store. Peanut butter jars right now. They're having a hard time filling orders on peanut butter because they don't get the freaking jars. This is what's happening. It's all encompassing.
Wait, what'd you say about peanut butter?
You better suck up, Ralph, because I know
around with my peanut butter.
I saw that. I saw that last night on a video, and I'm like, I better tell Ralph about this one.
I don't like that.
But see, Laura, you point out such a fantastic issue that people have to understand is that even if hypothetically the peanut butter was made in America and the peanuts were grown in America, the container, the labeling, all of that stuff might come from outside of America. And so you need the two together to make a package deal. And so now all of a sudden, the container costs more than the peanut butter that goes in it because of a fucking 125%, 145% tariff. There's no fucking rhyme or reason. But let's be realistic, right? Because Ralph mentioned it earlier. It's not going to do anything to hurt the billionaires, okay? You tell me one person that's ever seen Donald Trump fucking grocery shopping in his life. That motherfucker
Oh.
has probably never walked into a fucking grocery
Wait,
store. in his life.
didn't he make some sort of comment last time around about needing your ID when you go grocery shopping?
Like he
That you
fucking-
needed to show. That goes to show you, he's never been in a store.
No, he's never been in a store, and he's never had to worry about choosing between the store brand peanut butter and the Jif or the Skippy or whatever based on price. And do I have a coupon? Can I save more money by using the coupon than buying the store brand? Like there's real people that exist in there's been fucking shoppers that can go in there with coupons and come out with fucking tons of food for nothing because they know what they're doing, right? So, but that's a fucking talent, right? That's a talent.
I've been doing it. I've been doing it for decades, man. I get coupons. I get coupons when I go to stores often enough. I get the corporate to send me coupons. So I've got 3 supermarket chains that send me coupons in the mail, and I add them to the fucking sale that's already going on, and I take advantage. Hey, I'm gonna play like absolutely like fucking idiot right here, Coach. Okay, you're a teacher, you're an educator, and you're gonna educate me. Okay, so we use a lot of products in the we're Americans, so in the United States we use a lot of products where the entire product or portions of that product, a lot of it, comes from outside the United States. Correct? And a part of the trade that we do, buying from other countries, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is because it costs less, because the labor paid, the production, the cost that in the other country is a whole lot less than it would be here. So it makes it easier for us to buy from, say, China. Because with that product that costs $9.99 coming from China, it's going to cost $29.99 if it's made in America. And we've been doing this since like the fucking beginning of time, right? Even when we were only habitants here in America, we traded. Everybody traded. Why is it all of a sudden a fucking problem? I mean, what is it that you think a tariff is going to do, unless it's the coach's example, a little competing product, right? And you got the cult out there. Be patient. He's got a plan. We've never seen this before. You watch what's about to happen. We're fucking watching it, people.
Listen, here's the bottom line with what's going to happen and what's being told to people that's happening, right? Donald Trump sat there on video and said that egg prices are down, grocery prices are down, gas prices are down, everything's down, just like he promised. All the prices are down. Okay. So if I'm a redneck hillbilly motherfucker in West Virginia living on the fucking hills, okay, and my egg prices haven't come down, and my grocery prices haven't come down, and my gas prices haven't come down, do I believe that he's lying? Or do I believe that, that must be somewhere else and it just hasn't happened here yet? You see? Because this is how the delusional side of the world works. They believe the lie, even though they can't prove that it's actually.
And then they rationalize it. Right.
So, but again, going back to the idea of the tariffs and, there's so many cars. Cars are a great example, okay? You got cars that are built in America, right? They're put together in America. And every fucking part comes from another country. And if it's not coming from another country, but it was actually manufactured in America, the rare resources that caused it to be manufactured, whether it was some type of aluminum or some kind of steel or something, came from another country. It is an effect that is going to, no matter what you do, is going to impact the cost of that car. And that's true about peanut butter. It's true.
Yeah. I have something to add to that too. Let's put in homes. What about the lumber and all the steel and whatever goes into building homes? Where does that come from? How about the farmers? We're talking, okay, maybe we can make that peanut butter here because we make peanuts, right? But you know what? There are oils that go into peanut butter. And how about the machinery the farmers use to get those peanuts out, right?
I, I have
It's
I
all
like that.
encompassing. It's not just the like, car industry is a good example, but we got to add in all the other industries that are being affected by it too, because I don't think there's a single one that's not going to be impacted by it.
What was Donald Trump's message? Did you see it recently? He just came out and said, well, you're going to have to be happy with $2 from China instead of 30. That's all this means.
I heard
Gonna, so your child can have 2 toys for Christmas rather than 30 toys for Christmas. It's like, you delusional motherfucker who can afford basically anything on the planet because he's fucking rich. Right? It's like none of this matters. This doesn't matter to these rich assholes. They don't care. Lori, they don't give a fuck if you spend your last dollar. Better than that. They don't give a fuck if you owe in debt every single month to survive because that puts money in their pocket. If it costs you $1,000 a month to live and you only have $900, that's $100 a month you got to put on your credit card. And now you got to pay your interest rate on the credit card every month. And you went
if you got a credit card. If you got a credit card.
But point being is that if they drive you deeper and deeper in debt, they don't give a fuck. They don't care. They don't. That does not matter to them because that debt is money in their pocket.
In their pocket. Coach, I have a question for the educator again. Coach, would you say it is safe to assume, and I'm going to say I'm sure it's not everywhere on the planet, but would you say it's safe to, I hope every one of them go broke. They're not going to. Yeah. As soon as I saw that, I had to put that up. They're not going to. I do too, but they're not going to. Is it safe to assume, I want to ask this the right way, that every place that manufactures something has to get something from somewhere else?
I think that's a good assumption, right? I mean, if I need to make if I need a plastic container for peanut butter, well, I need to get the plastic from somewhere, even though I own the manufacturing facility that can melt the plastic and form it into a mold and make the container and, matching top and send it out the door somewhere.
Lori said, what about the oils? What about the oils? Maybe they don't have the oils. I got to go somewhere else to get the oils. Right.
There's certainly no self-inclusive production line where you get everything that you need off the land and the.
There you go. Because my last question on this is that was good, Coach. Because the last one is, don't you think that if there was a place in the world, even just this one single place, that could survive on its own resources, not be dependent on one single resource from outside its region, don't you think we would know where that place is?
It's
at least.
Okay. No, seriously, it's China. Now, China.
I know that was perfect, Coach. That's it.
Okay, China's not geared that way right now. They're into international trade, so they get what they want, and
they can.
But China's one of the. I don't think the American public understands how sophisticated China is in global commerce, in global relations, like. Jamaica, I'll give you a great example. Okay, Jamaica, back in the day when I first started going to Jamaica, it was like early 90s. The roads were terrible. There was no major highway. You were going basically through the back roads, and sometimes it's like one lane, and you got to wait for the other car to come by so you can go, and it's and there's no fucking guardrail. It's just a fucking cliff. So if you kind of like make a mistake, you're down like fucking 1,000 feet. Okay.
You're done.
So what did China do? China came in, okay, and fucking revamped the entire country. with fucking highways, with actual fucking motorways that you can travel from one side of the island now to the other on an actual interstate highway. China paid for that. For what reason, though? What do they get from Jamaica? Jamaica's not a high producer of anything other than marijuana, maybe, and some rum, but it's their outreach program, because now Jamaica is beholden, whether it's through paying off loans that have been established for this infrastructure investment, or simply ports, access to their ports. China's not stupid. China can send all of its products to fucking a country like Jamaica, okay, who might have a 10% tariff on them, and then ship from Jamaica to America rather than shipping directly from China, which has 145% tariff. So there's all kinds of shit that China's been doing. China is the beast when it comes to friggin' being a global power right now. They have everything down pat. And I'm not a communist, so I don't really respect communism, but I do respect what they've done when it comes to how they manage their budget, okay? In America, our fucking budget is so bloated, it's ridiculous. And this whole idea with Doge coming through and, finding fraud and all this shit, okay? So we spend $1 trillion a year on our defense budget, okay? $1 trillion a year. China, a fraction of that. And they have equal standing militarily with America.
Exactly.
And what did they do with the other, instead of $1 trillion, they spent 250 billion. What do they do with the other 750 billion? They invested in their infrastructure. They invested in their country. That's why they're so far ahead of America on everything.
America doesn't even look how long it took them to get the infrastructure bill going. I know from this area personally, the builders come in here and they, let's put it off on the people who live here. They don't have infrastructure where the developers are even paying for that.
If I were to run for office, right?
I'm coming to you, Heather.
Okay, if I was to run for office on a federal level, right? My first attack would be, why are we letting these fucking corporations run free and not being taxed when it's their fucking trucks that are on the interstate highways, that are on our local roads, that are beating the fuck out of our roads with their big ass rigs, with their
we gotta pay to fix it.
Is driving all over the fucking country with their fucking trucks, including big rigs, destroying our fucking highways with their fucking motorway, and we're not charging them to fix it? What the fuck?
And that's what we were talking about, had the better infrastructure. And she said, Trump said, any country that buys oil from Iran, or any person that buys oil from Iran, can no longer do business in the United States. They'll be sanctioned. Again, he thinks he could just like wave a fucking magic wand and tell people, yeah, everybody's looking, like Coach said, everybody's looking at him, get the fuck out of here, man.
Right? So what happens?
He rules the world. You know that.
He just said it.
I'll tell you what. If I'm Iran, I'm selling to Russia. I'm going to tell Russia, listen, you can have all my deals, all these countries I supply to, you can supply them with all the oil, and I'm going to ship you all of my oil, and then you disperse it to all of our, customers, right? So what is Trump going to do then? What's he going to do then? He's going to man up on Putin and say, listen, you're getting Iranian oil. You're going to have to fucking pay. We're not going to do business with. I mean, come on. This is just some fucking dickhead with a big mouth. That's all he is.
Yep. So one of the main things that Donald Trump ran on the first time and second time is immigration. I want to repeat what I say here, what we say here on this show. We don't want illegals in America. Anybody who tells you, except for the idiots that don't know any better, any normal tax, excuse me, I'm listening to Lori, Heather, any normal person does not want fucking illegals in this country. They don't belong here. That's why they call illegals, okay? Now, he hires this border czar, and they have this grand plan, and we talked about it from the start. He said he would also like to be the Pope. Holy shit. I shouldn't even put that up there, Laurie. I just put it up.
Listen, wait. He is a pedophile, so he does have qualifications.
That's what I was thinking. That's exactly what I was thinking. Like, oh my God, Jesus Christ. But anyway, no. So, and that's fine. You do what you got to do. But we've seen what has happened with this new immigration policy. Mr. Garcia, that's my name. But there's a Mr. Garcia sitting in El Salvador. And we find out, we hear it, by the way, to the Trump brain dead. Remember when your orange daddy was telling you, well, telling everybody, well, I don't have anything to do with that. That's between, you got to talk to the, I don't know. I can't do anything about it. It's up to El Salvador. It's out of our hands. I don't know if this reporter was trying to bait him, and it's not that hard to do that with Donald Trump, but he was successful. And long story short, Donald Trump basically said the other day, oh, yeah, I can just take the phone right here on the resolute desk and call the El Salvadorian president and tell him to let him go. Yeah. But basically, he said, I'm not going to do it. So, like, for all of you that just kept saying, blah, 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 he don't have no power. He said he can't do it. Like usual, he lied to your fucking face and, well, hook, line, and sinker. Now, it is bad enough. Again, remember I said status quo, normal politics over the decades. When the fuck did he get normal to start grabbing people, man? Just jobs, school, the streets, nightclubs. It's just fucking grabbing people without knowing. You don't tell us who it is. We don't even know who the hell you're grabbing. You make no public records. We have no idea how many Abrego Garcias might be out there already somewhere. Who the fuck knows where? And now, Lori, the Trump administration supposedly is in talks to add Libya and Rwanda to Hotel California.
Yes, I've heard that too. It's pretty scary. One of the things I want to bring up about El Salvador, I just read this article last night, is that the agreement was leaked, and in the agreement with Bukele, they were supposed to send MS-13 people, gang members, and they were supposed to have been already tried and proven to be from MS-13.
Makes sense.
Well, what they've done is that's why he keeps insisting that Garcia is MS-13, because that was part of the agreement with Bukele. Bukele said, "No, we're not just going to take people off the streets. We're not going to just take people off the street and say it's okay, they're coming to our prison." No, they were supposed to have all been verified as being MS-13. So I don't know what kind of agreement he wants to have with the other countries, Rwanda, and forget what other country you said it was.
Libya.
Libya. Oh,
No, what happened to Lori?
Lori, what happened?
Lori bounced.
Holy crap. And I was over here getting ready to look. So, and it says here, Coach, and she made me think of it. I guess she'll be back. She must have. I hope if she fell down, she can get up. Supposedly, the Trump administration has discussed with Libya and Rwanda the possibility of sending migrants who have criminal records and are in the United States to those two countries, according to multiple sources familiar with that. By the way, Coach, Lori's back.
I am back. I dropped my microphone, my earpiece. It fell out. I'm getting too excited all over this whole topic.
Yeah, calm down. Take it easy. So, with this Libya Rwanda thing, first of all, it says here, sending migrants who have criminal records and are in the United States, it's not working. Okay? And there's a process to do this. You have the fucking House. You got the Senate. But that's not what this is all about. This is not what this is about. And, Coach, here's what bothers me, man. I really have had nights. I've had nights in my bed where it bothers me thinking of whoever they may be, if they come to your house right now, Coach, just the police, you know you did something, you were at one of your bars, you got into a fight, fuck it. Come in the door, they're gonna question you, they're gonna take you to the police station right there in your town, and all right, fine. But it's a whole different story if they come pick your ass up and drop you off in Libya. I mean, from Connecticut, if they take you from Connecticut to a upstate New York prison, you're thinking, hey, I don't know where the fuck I'm at.
Are you here for me? All right. If you get by my dog, you will not get by my gun.
Oh boy, I needed that, Coach. That was great. No, I know. It's like I don't, I worry about those that are going to be that are now Mr. Garcia himself and others who may be in these holes, man, and they're alone. Oh shit.
Yeah. So that's what they would see. That's what they would see when they came to get me.
All the confusion.
And you guys saw the SOS from Texas, right?
That was so sad.
It's so sad.
The migrants at a facility were filmed by a drone, and they are forming the letters SOS.
Yeah. Oh, now here's the problem, because we're using terms that need to be identified, right? We're all, and you started the segment on this topic, Ralph, by saying we're all in it that illegal immigrants don't belong in this country and should be taken out of this country.
Absolutely.
We all agree with that.
Absolutely.
Illegal immigrants, okay?
And criminals. If they're illegal criminals, get them out even faster.
We can throw that into the group, right?
Hell yeah.
But a migrant is not an illegal immigrant.
Thank you, Coach.
Okay? A migrant is somebody that has come here to work and has been provided a visa, a work visa, okay? And they've been allowed to work. And normally those visas last as long as maybe 8 months, sometimes longer, depends, okay? But here's the problem, right? So if you're a fucking migrant worker who works for fucking Elon Musk because you're a computer programmer or an engineer of some sort, you're safe. You're okay. You're working for someone that you know you could. But if you work on a fucking plantation in Georgia picking friggin' some kind of, consumable, then all of a sudden you're a fucking illegal now. Like they're just hand changing, just like asylum seekers. All of a sudden they're the fucking bastard childs. We should be talking about illegal aliens, those that are, okay, call it undocumented if you want. That's kind of like the soft term for illegal. You don't have the proper documentation to be here. Then get out. Fine. But migrants are not illegals. But they've been withdrawing. They've been withdrawing their visas. They've been revoking visas to make them illegals, which would put them on the ability to get them out of the country. Yep. So they're revoking visas that are currently legal status documentation for these individuals. They're revoking that legal status and making them illegal in order to get rid of them.
Yep. Yeah, I just saw a headline that says the judge indefinitely blocks Trump from using Alien Enemies Act to deport migrants.
Yep.
Now, whether this holds or not will be something we have to watch, right?
Because
court decisions to Donald Trump and this administration, court decisions are irrelevant. They're a matter of an individual opinion. The judge is an individual who cast an opinion, and there's many other opinions that oppose that, and that's the whole idea of lawsuits and Donald Trump taking these things through the lawsuit and doing appeals and stuff like that, is that they're gonna judge shop, if you will, and find a judge that'll go along with their position. So it's not going to stop them. It's not going to slow them down. It's not going to do anything. What it's going to do is catch a news title, and you're going to read an article that says, "Oh, he's been stopped." No, he hasn't been stopped. Okay, that's a judge's opinion. That's the way they look.
And then a judge can get arrested nowadays by him.
Well,
that's an interesting
Lori
topic,
just
right?
decided to bring up the next topic. So
That is an interesting topic.
why not?
Well, here, right. So what happens to this judge? And mind you, when I read the article, Lori, I recognized that he had a Latino, Hispanic, some kind of name that goes along with Mexican and stuff like that. He's like another Garcia or something, right? So what are they going to do with this judge? Are they going to try to impeach this judge? No, they're not going to work the impeachment route. They know it's a waste of time. It's never going to happen. But they're going to fucking bastardize this guy like they've bastardized the woman. Okay. I'm not sure. I've heard so many different stories about this woman that got arrested. Who is the judge that got arrested? Okay. So from what I understand, and I'm going to give you what I understand, and I want to hear what you guys understand. And what I understand is that there was somebody in the court that was before the judge. They wanted to get into the courtroom and arrest the guy, and that wasn't allowed. And she allowed him to leave the courtroom to evade the immigration police. So somehow she did something to facilitate his exit to avoid being captured.
Different door.
Basically, yeah, she was arrested, because they said that she wants to keep illegals here. She wants killers and murderers and rapists to stay.
Well, don't we all? That's why we voted for Democrats. We want all that shit.
Why don't we just say it, okay? If we're watching this on TV and we watched it on television, the film, the video of the arrest. But if you look at the background and you see that it is China, Russia, the aforementioned Libya, or one of them fucking countries, we're used to that, right? It doesn't surprise us. But this video was shot in Wisconsin of USA. A fucking judge was arrested. I'm going to say it. Because the president of the United States is a fucking 79-year-old petty ass child. And when his feelings get hurt, he has to come after you. Try to remember, one person classified as illegal, and Coach explained it. Got migrants, visas, documentation saying that they're here legally. You take that away. Remember, documentation that says you're here legally is taken away, meaning that you're illegal. You're changing the whole fucking rules because you don't like the color of my skin. You don't like where I come from. By the way, let me repeat again. We don't want fucking illegals here, okay? And we damn sure don't want illegal criminals. And every one of you brain dead that say that shit all the time, I laugh because you sound so fucking stupid. It is incredible that you make fools of yourselves. Who the fuck wants an illegal here? And by the way, may I say, applauds to Donald Trump and the administration for the intent of what they're trying to do. That's the intent. Their intent is different. The intent of trying to get illegals out of here and illegal criminals, first and foremost, get them the fuck out of here. I applaud Donald Trump for being a badass for wanting to do that and screaming it out loud. But that's not what the fuck he's doing. Come on. That's not what he's doing.
Well, here's one thing that we were talking about before the first topic with the police state, which we didn't mention, is that he turned around and has militarized the border in California, New Mexico, and Arizona to make it a military base. It's connected to a military base that is in like northern Arizona. So now anybody who goes on to that base, they're trespassing. So you don't even have to be an illegal. You can get arrested just because you're by the border where it's militarized now.
Hey, Coach. This is for you and I, okay? And man, I'm attack on the politicals crazy right now. Last time I checked, you're a man. I'm a man, and yes, I'm not a guy who's much about ego or pride. I really don't give a shit about that. But even if you don't, you still want to be recognized as a man. That's that, and be respected as a man. How do I respect a leader who is so drunk on power, adulation, worship, submission? By the way,
Retribution.
attribution. For all you people out there who are saying that's a bunch of bullshit, I'll shut you down with this real simple. If this were Joe Biden doing this, Kamala Harris, or Barack Obama, a Democrat, you'd be talking cold cash shit. And rightfully so, by the way. And rightfully so, by the way. Like S.A. Marischal. Did I say your name right? Because you ever see my show and you get to say this portion of the show, I just want to tell everybody, I look for you every day. You are so deep up down Trump's ass. You're better than anything I watch on TV, anything that I read, anything anybody tells me. It's like this guy gets up, he goes to bed every day. God, I just got to know what Daddy said tonight so I can get ready tomorrow and get on social media and spread the word. I will die the rest of my life, Coach and Lori, wondering how the fuck did one man fuck up so many people's heads?
No, Ralph. It's not like that. Those heads are already fucked up.
Yeah, I know what he's on. I know what he's
Okay?
on. Yeah.
And he filled the void that
He opened
no one
the door.
else could
He
fill.
opened the door for him. He kicked the door in for them.
Yeah. This is like Sandra always going off. Why, when are people gonna wake up? When are they gonna wake up? And I'm like, wake up from what? Wake up from what? They live a different existence than you do. Their messaging is entirely different. Their programming is entirely different. Their belief system is entirely different. Their allegiances and alliances are entirely different.
It's a world they don't want to wake up from.
They won't wake up to what you believe is true. Okay? The difficulty is, and the first thing you have to do is you have to write off the people that are into the social construct argument between, what about the gays? What about the lesbians? Excuse me. What about this? All this fucking nonsense, right? Let's talk policy. If you have a reasonable person that is Republican leaning, at least right leaning, not Trumpian so much, but right leaning. If you have a conversation with them, I guarantee you by the end of the conversation, you're going to realize that you agree on probably 95% of the topics. Okay? It's how it's portrayed in the media and how things are bastardized and how the twists go on that get you emotionally involved in the topic that pulls you to a side. And I'll give you the greatest example that I have of that is me and my nephew. Okay? My nephew is right wing. Okay? And we could talk about Social Security, Medicaid. We could talk about, government waste. We could talk about, all this corruption in politics and we need a third party. We could agree on all this shit. But then he's going to go on a tangent about, what about gender studies in college? Why are we funding that and shit like that? It's like, this is what polarizes you because you're worried about some fucking idiot taking a fucking class about how to fucking deal socially or psychologically with people that have gender identity issues and stuff. This is what makes you a fucking Republican. It makes you a bigot. That's what it is. You see, those are the defining lines. You're no longer a Republican. You're a bigot. You're not about policy. That's the problem with these fucking people. And that's what Donald Trump is tapped into with these fucking assholes. They're not about policy. They don't want to talk about fucking taxation. They don't want to talk about actual fucking policies like tariffs. How do they work? What should we be doing? How about, no, they want to talk about whether or not, somebody is a man running in a woman's sport. Listen, I think that's a pretty fucking, you talk about that, your new writer that wants to write on that. Let me tell you what, I've been a coach, okay? For 40 years, I've been coaching sports. Okay. I've had women football players. Okay. I don't have a problem with women trying to play football. I think it's dangerous. I think a women's football league where they're competing against themselves makes sense, and they can be very successful. But I think it's entirely wrong for a man to put in fake breasts, call himself a female, and go run a 400-meter race against a bunch of girls and win the gold medal. That is fucking wrong. There's no right in that. I don't care how you justify what this person emotionally identifies as. There is something physiologically wrong with that matchup. And it's not.
Lisa, you're right. Yeah, Lisa's on you. Will say you go, coach, and that's right. That's right. And by the way, thank you, coach, for saying that. Another thing we want to make clear on this show: we don't support a guy who decides to become a girl and then he wants to go play in girls' sports because your sorry ass couldn't compete. No. Don't support that shit either.
Not at all. No. Not at all. That's just wrong. It's just wrong.
And a lot of regular folks,
So what's the solution now? This, not to like turn the ship in any direction, but the solution in my mind when it comes to transgender sports is either you go into a co-ed competition where both men and women are competing on the same team. That's fine, because then it doesn't matter what your gender identity is. Your qualifications fit both sides. You could be the male on the team or the female on the team. Fine. So co-ed makes sense. Or you have a transgender league.
That's it.
That's it. There's no other room.
They want to play sports. You play against each other.
Listen, my daughter was a track athlete, and if she had to run against somebody who is trans and lost to that trans and took second place to that trans, I would be offended that they let that happen.
Damn right.
But here's how I look at the issue. I agree with exactly your two solutions, Coach. But they've made such a major issue out of it when there are so few trans athletes. Why does it have to be so important? Why do they have to pick that social issue and say, well, okay. And that's what's happening all across the board. Women are being demeaned now by this administration. We're being brought down. We have to have our name, all kinds of stuff to be what we're born with. Now we have to worry about everybody should have a real ID, but people are having problems getting these real IDs. A woman in California, for example, was born in New York. She sat in DMV to get her her license. She was there for hours, got passed from one person, next person, all the way through the line to the last person says, sorry, your documentation is not legal. She says, yes, it is legal. It's legal. Nope, ma'am, we can't give it to you. This is what's happening. These social issues are just crazy.
So, Lori, the answer goes back to, but this is the diversion that the Republicans play on their followers. They play in this bigotry, social construct topics, because they know that they're racist, that they're bigots, that they hate on people. So they fuel that fire. But let me tell you what's messed up with this real ID, right? Since you brought this up. Okay, so Sandra went to DMV here in Connecticut to get her ID updated to have the star on it, okay? So she brought her birth certificate to prove that she's a person, right? Jamaica misspelled her middle name.
Oh, Jesus.
On her birth certificate by one letter, okay? By one letter. Now she's a U.S. citizen now, so she has her U.S. immigration citizen status certificate that shows her actual name. She has a passport with her actual name, her marriage license with her actual name, all this stuff. But because the birth certificate from Jamaica misspelled it by one letter, she has to go through hoops and tunnels and all this shit to try to fix the birth certificate over in. Now, here's the problem. With Jamaica, you have to prove your identity through school records. But she didn't go through school in Jamaica. She left Jamaica and moved to England before she started school. So now we have to deal with England, and we're talking about 55, 56 years ago, her school records that we need to identify her school records for almost 60 years ago to try to get this clarified with Jamaica so she can get a star on her fucking license. It's insane.
You can't be flying with her then. Don't dare leave this country.
Well, that's a benefit. Like, she has a passport, so it's really irrelevant because if you have a passport, you don't need the real ID. The passport is your real ID. The real ID allows you to travel, federally speaking, without having a passport. So she's clear to travel and all this stuff. But it's been about 2 months we've been dealing with this back and forth between Jamaica and England and the U.S. and all this stuff just to get one letter changed on her fucking middle name.
And yet you have all the other documentation where it's
everything else she needs. Everything
else. This is where, I'm sorry, but this is where I really hope that there are people who voted for Trump who face your wife's situation or the situation that this woman in New York had.
So do I.
They need the fucking wake up call.
Yes.
Yeah, so what are we turning into as a country?
But remember, even when it happens to them, I've been watching videos. There are people crying. They lost their job. Husband and wife teams that work for the federal government who no longer have job benefits. 401ks are shrinking. And they're looking dead into the camera and saying, and I still support my president. You got to be out of your fucking mind.
They really do. Right now, they're trying to cut the pension. The people who are still working, federal workers, they're trying to cut their pension, raise the age, cut their pension abilities with their hours, lower it. I mean, come on.
But don't
forget, they're trying to screw every one of us.
This goes back to the messaging, like I was saying, about when they turn on their TV or they open up their Facebook or social media platform that they use. The message they get there is entirely different than the message you're getting. It is the pro-Trump, pro-GOP, pro-Doge messaging that they're getting and how wonderful everything is and how it's so beneficial that they're doing this. We're saving trillions upon trillions of dollars. And so they are not hearing the alternate side, we'll say. Okay, somewhere in the middle is the truth. You have the alternate side, you have the GOP side. There's somewhere in the middle is the truth. But they only hear that one version that is geared through propaganda, okay, to teach them, to tell them, to get them bought into their plan that somehow this is beneficial for themselves or for the country. And they don't take any time out of the day to fact check a fucking thing.
Not a one thing. Trump wants to be a dictator like Putin. Let me tell you, that's been said for years, right? And he floated here and there. You listen to some of his rhetoric. It has never been clearer than it is now because what he's doing, the executive orders and the shit, it's all dictatorship shit.
I think it's more nefarious than that. I think that Donald Trump is a public figure that the true deep state now, if you will, the deep state, the Heritage Foundation and all these other organizations that are, extremely right-wing radical, they're the ones that are authoring these executive orders. You think Donald Trump wrote a fucking thing? Donald Trump barely can write his name, okay? He's so deranged. He doesn't even understand what he's signing. He doesn't have any concept of what he's signing. These experts, these philosophical right-wing experts are the ones that are managing the direction of this government. Donald Trump is a fucking puppet on a string. And no one even knows how far the hand up his ass goes. He is not the one. He is not the one fucking moving the ball forward.
They just,
it's interesting that you say that because we've always called him Putin's puppet, right?
Yeah.
And he's recently come out and said things against Putin, right? So now my question is the people behind the cabal behind him, the true power, are they telling him to pull away from Putin?
I think what you have to realize is that if I'm going to talk shit about Ralph, okay, I'm going to call Ralph on the side. I'm going to say, listen, Ralph, I got to save face here. I gotta take a stand. You just kind of bombed Kiev, and I gotta show that I'm like trying to find the peace in the world and stuff like that. So I'm a badmouth you in my next statement, but really, we're still bros. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
Right? We're still
you
bros.
know, I know the drill. I know the drill.
Right?
Yeah, but that's the question to me now is like, where's the Heritage Foundation stand on it? I mean, are they behind?
This is the Heritage Foundation's plan. They don't give a fuck about Putin.
They don't care
about Putin. What they care about is they're getting their plan implemented here in America. They'll let Donald Trump deal with Putin. Lisa Reed says, of course, these Republicans think it don't relate to them. They better get their heads out of their ass and open their eyes. And that's the thing we talk about, Lisa. The fact that somehow, some way, you think because you voted for fucking Trump that you're immune or something? Did you forget the thousands and thousands of Republicans that voted for Trump that now have no jobs and no benefits and their 401ks are shrinking? You think they just arbitrarily did it to Democrats? No.
Well, I think a great example of that, right, is look at how many states have asked for help from FEMA and have been turned down, and not a one of them are blue.
Sarah Huckaface found out. Oh, shit.
In North Carolina, too.
Huckaface said, hey, Mr. President, remember me? I had your back. Remember that? I need some federal funds. Hey. Said, hey, Huckaface, can't help you. Can't help you. Lori, final thoughts.
My final thoughts are to obtain peace of mind for myself. I have to stay away from a lot of the bullshit that has been circulating, whether it's online or the TV, because I think our country is just totally on its way down, and it's breaking my heart. That's it for tonight.
I know. I wish I could get off social media. Coach, final thoughts.
Let's stick with that theme. Now you guys know that I ditched on Facebook. Okay, I've been out of the loop when it comes to my feed and all the stuff, and the purpose of that had to do with rhetoric, right? So since I've discovered the AI tool that I use, I was fact checking everything, and I was involved in some right wing groups as well as left wing groups. And what I discovered was that they're both full of shit. Okay, it really depends on what you want to believe, because they're all throwing up fucking propaganda. I'll see something from the left like, oh my God, Nissan and Subaru are closing and shutting the doors and shuttering all their production in America. And I'll go and do a search on that topic. And that's not at all what is happening. They're doing a little readjustment. They're doing some things that were already in the works before Trump was even elected. These plans of shutting down facilities were already in the mix. There's all kinds of rational, real details that have yet to even be affected by tariffs. But some asshole puts out a post to generate this emotional response like, oh my God, look what he's doing. And on the right, they do the same fucking thing. They do the same crazy ass shit about, oh, this is Biden inflation and this is the problem with Biden's administration. And now we're fucking 3 months into Trump's problems with the fucking tariff war going on globally, and they still want to blame Biden for disruptions in the economy. Like, what are you, fucking stupid? Like, this is how fucking dumb both sides are. The sad part is that about 25% of the left-wing shit and the right-wing shit is legitimate, well-educated, well-articulated information. And the rest is fucking garbage, Lori. And I think that if you can break from it, I think you will breathe easier, because the sky is not falling the way that they want you to believe. There's reasons to be concerned about things, but the sky is not falling, and they want you to think that it is. And that's just, that's sick.
My final thought is simple. No, it's not. No, it's not. I just had to say that. We are but just over 100 days into a 4-year presidential term. Understand something, people. There's a phrase, fuck around and find out, right? There's also another phrase, like I'm in the feel out stage. Trump is feeling things out. He's defying judges, he's arresting judges, deporting American citizens. Hey, shut the fuck up out there. I'm not talking about the good shit he's doing, okay? I like that he's getting illegals, illegal criminals. That I'm good. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about the shit that's happening that shouldn't be happening. And right now, all he's doing is testing the waters. He wants to know who he can push, what button he can push, what he can get away with it. He just told the Republicans, if you motherfuckers don't stay in line, I swear for God, I'm bringing everybody one by one and putting them over my fucking knee. That's what he basically told the Republicans. The Republicans looked at him and said, yes, sir, Daddy. He's just testing the waters. If he and the administration have gone this far in 100 days, what the hell are you going to think it's going to look like 52 weeks later? By the time we get to next January, we have no fucking clue what we're going to look like. And if this is just a prerequisite, how does it stop? Never in American history have we been faced with the question, you think he'd do that shit? You think maybe somebody needs to, should someone, I don't know who that someone is. That's why we have laws, right? That's why we have judges, and they're telling them to go fuck themselves too. I don't know where this is going, but I just want my wife to retire in a couple of months. Because if she doesn't, she's going to give me hell. And I just want to, I'll figure the rest out from there. Thank you for joining us. This is United, Not Divided, the NGSC Sports Political Podcast, where we meet on common ground. I'm Ralph Garcia, along with the coach and Lori. Thank everybody for joining us. I'll be back when?
Night.
I'll be back soon. Talk basketball, talk baseball. And don't worry, we ain't got nothing better to do. We'll be back. Plenty to talk about. Till then.